Hello, hello. Okay, hair. Yes. Yes. Welcome to the first day of the 2025 Black Breastfeeding Week. Thank you for all who have joined us this evening for tonight's topic, which is liquid gold, how breastfeeding can help heal our planet. And I am honored to have a very esteemed guest with us this evening, the one and only Memphis City Councilwoman, Dr. Put some respect on her name, Michalyn Easter Thomas, who will spend some time with us just giving her perspective, one with being a phenomenal mother, first and foremost, and wife, and city councilwoman, and educator, but just giving us some insight from her perspective on this very critical topic. Especially with the social climate that we're in right now, we need to be invested more than ever in things to truly support Black women and Black childbirthing people. So, with that, let's go ahead and get right into it. So I have a couple of questions for you. So let's go with our first question. So, how has being an elected official and a mother who did breastfeed while your little one was a baby? I can't believe he's gotten so big. But being an elected official and a mom, how has that influenced your perspective on public health and environmental issues?
Yeah, and forgive me, I'm still trying to move and see if this is the right place. We have no light in this house.
It looks good.
Okay, good. But Tracy, one, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be on and share my story and my insight and perspective. And I know it's like breastfeeding is, I'm gonna get to the question, but like breastfeeding is, it could be a topic for anybody. So thank you for choosing me to
Yes,
speak
of
on it.
course.
Um, as an elected official, so I only have one child, and I got pregnant with him while I was elected. So I think that made a big difference on how I saw disparities. You always can see them or observe them or talk to folks in the family and your friends and stuff, but having to in real time see how, oh, folks really don't care about mothers. Oh, folks really don't care about Black mothers, do they?
Mhm.
Okay, I see. I see. And sometimes we can exacerbate those same thoughts and feelings to each other, but that's not the question. So, with with my perspective, like in an elected legislative capacity, it really heightened like my thoughts on access to the basics. So when you're talking about food, when you're talking about health, when you're talking about doctors, childcare, mental health resources, thinking about the water that we drink, thinking about the air that we breathe, all of that having a legislative tie, right? Depending on which legislative source, but then all of that impacting how you can grow your baby and grow up your baby
Mm.
and feed your baby. So it's like all of that is taken into account, right? Just and so it's like, okay, how can you make life? This is really how we should think about policy anyway. How can we make life easier for moms
Mhm.
and women? And if we do that, everybody else will be good. Right?
I
You know how
mean,
they
it'll
say
solve
what's good for
everything.
Black folks is good for everybody. What's good for mamas is good for everybody because we're the life givers. We're the ones and why folks are here in the first place. So even just with the breastfeeding, it was just like, okay, I have to think about how I'm gonna have the time, how I'm gonna have the energy, how can I feed myself to make sure I can produce what I need to produce. And then it's like, okay, I can think about that with me, but with my legislative hat on, how do other people get to do that? Right?
Mhm.
How are other people doing it that aren't in my particular situation or privilege? What are they doing? What are the resources we're giving to them? How are we making it easy for them, whether we're giving them something directly or not? So it just really heightened my access, tightened my focus on just the access of all things because these are the things that you need that you don't think about until you
Mhm.
have to, right? So the corner stores are cool until you need, you can't breastfeed your baby off hot chips and pickles,
Right.
right? the little seat, the Hunt Brothers pizza. You can't do that. You can't make no milk off that. It's not gonna be good for the baby. So so yeah. So just looking at all the things that go into a part of what makes a well balanced, healthy mama.
Yeah, and I think, one of the honors of Black womanhood is a very distinct level of empathy, right?
Yeah,
So I like the point where you mentioned, like, what's good for moms literally is good for everyone. Like,
literally.
literally, and making things better, making things more accessible for moms literally makes things better for society.
Yeah,
And I think that is really cool that we have more and more women who are actually taking a leap of faith and going into serving in political office, because it does offer a very different perspective, particularly in elected seats are primarily male dominated.
hmm,
So I really like the connection to the social service aspect. But then also taking into consideration like your everyday working mom, where this is not 1940, where you have a significant amount of women that are stay-at-home moms. That even
hmm,
back then, it looked different for Black women. Black women were still working.
yeah.
So really happy to hear you making those connections. So this is a
Mhm.
good segue for this next question. So, particularly as Black women, we are balancing a lot. It's a lot of competing priorities. We deal with the intersections of misogynoir, like people just
Yeah,
hating us because not only are we women, but we are Black women. The list can go on about some of those challenges. And breastfeeding, is just another one.
yeah.
But it's so critical to try to break those barriers as it relates to breastfeeding and chest feeding. So, what have you found to be some of the biggest challenges that you've seen with Black mothers, particularly when it comes to breastfeeding support? And what solutions have you seen or experienced that really seriously address some of these challenges?
Um, four sound like a lot, but four things come to mind with that. One is time and location. Time and location. Like really, where are you going to pump or breastfeed, and when are you going to do it? Because you have to have a schedule. Like it's not
Mhm.
like you can pick it up when you feel like it. You have to get that milk out, and if you're not getting it out, your body listens to you. Isn't that crazy? Your body listens to you.
Mhm.
And so if you're not getting it out, you're not going to make any more. And you have to do a lot of work to get it back out. So time and location for sure, like just having a plan. One thing that I was able to help with, in essence, it looks nice and big in a tangible thing, but in essence, it's just a little piece to just help a small amount of people, but still putting it on awareness. But we were able to open, and you were there as well for the grand opening,
Yes.
the mothers room in City Hall. And do you know before then, which was this year for Mother's Day, there was no even place to change your baby's diaper in City Hall,
That's
right?
crazy.
So I wasn't only just thinking about the people who work in City Hall, but the people who now are coming to be more engaged in politics, right? They want to come, they want to visit, but you might need to do something with your infant or your toddler. So we were able to do that, thinking about time and location, because even with me having an office in City Hall, folks would knock on my door so much when I was there. I'm like, well, let me get my stuff together. Don't come in. I'm trying to get some stuff. And especially if you don't have access to like those mobile pumps, which are
Hmm.
more expensive and not covered by insurance, right? Then you really have to think about how are you going to do it and when are you going to do it. Second thing is nourishment, which I kind of hinted at earlier. Like you literally have to still eat like you're pregnant
Mm.
and more, because you want to be able to put all that protein, all those vitamins, all those nutrients into your body so they can come out to feed your child, right? Because your child will, if they're just being breastfed, even if they're breastfed while they're eating solids, they got what you got. So if you up, one night, okay, it's cool eating pizza all night and Coke all night, right? But if you're not being true to what your dietary needs are, it's going to be harmful. But even worse, if you don't have access to that, what do you do? Right?
Right.
So we have our people, we have our folks in these neighborhoods with no access to nourishment. But we expect them to adequately be able to figure out how to breastfeed and to nourish their child when they can't even nourish themselves. So that's a challenge. And so I've been real big on how do we implement more real food solutions. So whether they're supporting farmers, markets, co-ops, we're working on a grocery project in North Memphis now because the entire North Memphis does not have a grocery store, just because of that access. And a lot of people have said to me over these years that we've been working on this, why don't you just do a farmer's market? That's one thing. Right? You can have a farmer's market and a store and this. You can have
Mm-hmm.
multiple, right? You don't have to choose. This we're in a life of abundance, okay? When you're talking about with
Yes.
government, you can do anything because we watch them do everything every day. Okay. So working on that food access. The third one would be how can we as a people lower the stress levels of Black mothers?
Mm.
If you are stressed out, you are not going to produce any milk. If your job got you stressed out on whatever shifts and you can't find a way to pump and doing this and that, you're not gonna produce any milk. If you're in a situation, environment, relationship that has you on edge, on 10, you're not
Mm.
gonna be producing any milk. If you are, especially those who are engaged in directly combating all this BS that we got going on politically, and you
Mm-hmm.
let those stresses within you, it's gonna be hard to produce too. So when we look at what resources can we provide to our moms to lower their stress level, your access to mental health, um, your access to exercise, your um, allowing them spaces and places where child care is included, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what things can we make a less stressful life? And I think that that's one thing that we don't talk about as much, even amongst Black people and Black women, because our ancestors have had such a stressful life. And
Yeah.
sometimes that generational curse is not thinking that those who come after you shouldn't also have a stressful life.
Yeah.
That's another IG live.
Yeah.
But it's like we shouldn't don't pass on the stress because then I won't be
Mhm.
able to give my baby what he needs. And then lastly, that support. Black moms are needing that support when they try it and it doesn't work.
Mm.
So trying to breastfeed, oh, the baby won't latch and the baby won't take it, and I can't produce any milk. We have doulas who a lot of the doulas that I know in town, in Memphis, are also lactation specialists.
Mhm.
So I know I had a doula when I had Trip, and I was engorged, which means you just can't get the milk out. It's just there and it hurts. And I was like, I'm trying to feed my baby. I'm just trying to get this stuff out. I can't do it. And so she came over and showed me how, helped me get the baby to latch on, to get the milk out, and then I was able to keep doing because I practiced, but most of all because I felt supported. And I had somebody tell me, you're not a failure, you're not a bad mom, you're trying, keep trying. You're new at this. Don't expect to be perfect at it. Your first time, first day out, it's okay. Try it again. If you need help again, call me again. And so just being able to have that type of support, if we could have something that help provide free or discounted lactation services, we probably would be able to see more breastfeeding Black moms.
Yeah. I mean, you just gave us the blueprint for what we need to do.
I
Um,
mean, and that might not even be a big ask, right? I
you
don't
know?
know.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now I'm
I
thinking.
really think that, oftentimes, again, that's why we need more women in leadership
Mm-hmm.
positions, more women, that are elected in agencies, so that you can truly understand. the levels
Yeah.
to womanhood, right? And to be able to help people to understand why providing these types of just human rights, right? Like
The
it shouldn't
basics, just
even
the
be
basics.
considered right as a luxury. This is not a luxury. This is something that should be readily available. But how it's so connected to just our everyday life. It
Mm-hmm.
has implications literally from generation to generation. I also wanted to add on to what you shared, particularly with Black women. I love the fact that you mentioned doulas, because of the sordid history that we have with slavery. Oftentimes, it's a stigma
Mm-hmm.
with breastfeeding and chest feeding, particularly for Black women, and just thinking like, I can't do it, like I can't do this. So it's really important to uplift those people where it's
Yeah.
their ministry to serve and build the capacity, the knowledge, with women that feel like defeated even before they get started. So I really appreciate you uplifting doulas and how integral they are to the village,
Yeah.
with really supporting Black moms. Let's shift into a little bit of a different direction.
Okay.
So particularly, one thing that I want to lead with is however you choose to nourish your baby is the appropriate way. So, never feeling like, oh, dang, because I didn't breastfeed, I'm less than. That's not the case at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just personally, even though I'm a full grown woman, but as an infant, my mom was an excellent mom, but she didn't produce any milk. So I was a formula fed baby. And that doesn't mean that my mom was any more or any less. So
Yeah.
I always want to, preface that. However, there are some, among many things, with from a public health perspective, where breastfeeding is literally liquid gold. We call it that for a
It
reason.
is.
Even beyond just nourishment for the baby, breast milk, chest milk comes in handy for a lot of different things.
So many things.
But also connecting it back to the environment, the lack of reliance on like tangible things. So
Yeah.
even thinking about when you use formula, the packaging, some of the packaging is not biodegradable. Even when you think about baby bottles
Mm-hmm.
are oftentimes plastic. Back in the day, they used to be glass.
Yeah.
There's several environmental implications with the usage of like packaging with formula,
Mm-hmm.
and then even with the type of devices that we use to actually feed the baby.
Yeah.
So thinking about that, what are some environmental benefits of breastfeeding compared to formula feeding?
And Tracy, I'm so glad that you led with it, right? I had to switch from breastfeeding to formula because of the stress of my job, being a city council person. I couldn't manage it. I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't. And so um we did up into 6 months. I got to 6 months and I was very happy because that's when, or I was satisfied that I made it that far
Yeah.
because Trip had caught the flu that Christmas. And because I was still breastfeeding at that time, breastfeeding, pumping, and he caught the flu, he gave me the flu and my husband the flu. But Trip's flu was gone in 2.5 days
Wow, look at God.
because of breast milk. And
Mm.
so, related to the environment, you know what you put in you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what they put in the cans. And so I know I cried when I had to switch to formula because I was like, I know what I can do. I can eat. I can do my oatmeal. I can do all this. I don't know what's in this can. Now I got to trust what's in this can to
Mm-hmm.
do what I really, really wanted to do, but with all the pressures of life and everything, not having the time or the low stress or, the production to be able to continuously do it. Um, yeah, yeah. So that main thing, like you just have that personal awareness of what's going on in your
Mm-hmm.
body and you're able to control that. So you don't have to ask questions. You don't have to think about it. Even if you're doing the pump and dump, right? You can say
Mm-hmm.
that and use that for baths and eczema and all type of
Mm-hmm.
things. So I had some stored just for that because my baby has some eczema too, and I would put it in his bath. That would help, and that was beyond after I had stopped breastfeeding, but I could still see the benefits of
Mm-hmm.
that. And they do call it liquid gold. They folks sell their breast milk online.
Yes.
Folks are selling breast milk online. That's wild. So if you're able to profit off of it like that, don't think that what you're making with your baby is not valuable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is that your body listens to your needs, but your body as a breastfeeding mother listens to the baby's needs. That's the only way
Mm-hmm.
Trip got through that flu so fast. Is that my body realized that the person that was taking this food from me, these nourishments from me, was sick, and it produced antibodies for him. You
Yeah.
ain't gonna get that in a can. They can't make that. They can't make it. They probably have tried. They can't make that. And
No.
so if these things were taught to mothers before they birth, I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you we'd have like 100% more black women doing breastfeeding. And then not to mention it's free, right?
That
You
part.
can get your manual, you can get your manual and your big industrial pump, right? Free with insurance. But ask for the mobile pump at the baby shower. I mean, I know it costs $300-400, but
Get some people to
no,
put
don't
in
give
on
me
it.
Pampers, give me this. Right. It's like because that right there would change folks' lives. But definitely just, paying more attention to what folks digest, what you digest, your awareness of everything, and also it's free. But also that is one of the best doctors for your child.
Mm.
Like in yeah, any season you can get a cold, any season you can get the flu. I won't even imagine how folks felt birthing kids during COVID, like 2020.
Ooh.
But definitely, like they can't replicate that. They can't make that. Like that's the body, that's God. So
Yeah.
the more we know that, and the more we have the support to be able to do that, the more Black women will be able to take advantage of that.
Love it. Love that. And, as you were speaking, I also thought about when you are breastfeeding or chest feeding, it's also a form of conservation, right? So you're literally using like less things. It also just like connects us back to
Hmm.
just like our natural state, right?
Yeah.
Like once upon a time, there was no formula. This was the liquid gold was it, right?
Uh-huh.
So it really just kind of one, it also like is a dismantling, if you will, of the reliance on like consumerism and capitalism also, and just taking it
Mm,
back to like something that
yeah.
you are able to produce on your own. So I like the part where you're like, it's free. It's
It's
free because
free.
formula is high. It's super
Look,
expensive.
$50 a can
Listen,
every
and
week
these
and a
juicy
half.
babies that go through a canister of formula real quick. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that, it is always, breast milk is always going to be the best option. And I think, just kind of going back to what we talked about earlier,
Yeah,
education will really move mountains
yeah,
and with making breastfeeding and chest feeding more accessible, making people feel like this is something I can actually do. And
yeah,
then even going further, for all intents and purposes of like this conversation, thinking about how much less stuff you accumulate when you're actually just breastfeeding. Because think about that. Think about how many canisters, how many, cases of formula that you go through, right? Even like
so
the
many.
shrink wrap, the cap that's on it, that's plastic. That's not
Yeah.
biodegradable. So when you get ready to dump that, where is it going?
Mm-hmm.
With our issues with plastic, it ends up in landfills. It ends up in the ocean.
Yeah.
There's even research that's coming out to show us that plastic is even being found in breast milk itself. So, really trying to lessen
Wow.
our dependency on consumer products and really trying to
Mm-hmm.
get back to the basics of what
Yeah.
can we do from a natural perspective, which inherently is going to be better anyway. So thank you
Mm-hmm.
for sharing that. Going to our next question. So again, like bringing in that elected official piece, and even being a former educator and working for government. What role do you think local government can play in normalizing and supporting breastfeeding at the intersection of like environmental sustainability, particularly for Black mothers?
That's a good one. Um, just in a legislative capacity at any level, but local for sure. Um, we just need to create the environment where our Black mothers can thrive. And so that's from the inside out. How are we doing our zoning? What are we letting in
Mm,
our communities? How many trees do we have in our neighborhoods that
yeah.
are producing cleaner air, more shade, less heat? What about the blight? Are we letting the trash pile? Are we letting the dumping permeate in some of our neighborhoods versus others? Um, are we replacing our lead pipes that we know are there? Okay. These are all things we can do that you may not directly say, oh, this is a mother's right or environmental sustainability right, but this is all creating a cleaner and better environment for you to thrive in. When
Mhm.
folks like when middle class folks are picking where they're going to live, where they're going to raise a family, they're looking for schools, they're looking for parks, they're looking for grocery stores, looking for resources, they're looking for clean areas. That's what we should be providing in every neighborhood. How can we
Mhm.
clean up and make accessible and attainable and attractive all of our neighborhoods? Because that's what's better environmentally. Because if you're drinking contaminated water, that's messing up you and your child. If you don't have access to resources, that's messing up you and your child. If you don't have green space that's going to help with the oxygen in the air and the aesthetic of neighborhood, that's messing up you and your child. If the zoning, I don't want to strike a nerve today, but if the zoning is going to allow an industry close to your home, that's messing up you, your child, and their child
Mhm.
probably too. So these are all things that government has control of. So I think the more that we get motherly and women perspectives in government, the more we can start to think about things like these. Because men traditionally haven't had to think about
Mhm.
these things. Not saying I don't think about them now, but traditionally they haven't had to because you don't have to grow a child. You don't have to build a
Yeah.
child within your womb. You don't have to think about how does what I do impact them. You don't have to think about does the dust or the smog in the air impact my child. You don't have to think
Mhm.
about that. In the food that you provide, you don't have to think. Traditionally, they haven't had to think about that. So that also means that the men that are in these positions don't think about that.
Yeah.
How do we know? Because they haven't changed any policies. So, and now that I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, maybe it needs to be a full package agenda, the
Yeah.
mother's agenda or something. Or the environmental mama agenda maybe can come out next year and that week,
Right.
that has some policy recommendations of how to make a better environment for mothers. Right? And at some point, I mean, everybody has a mother. So it ain't
That's
like you
right.
deciphering stuff out. This is for everybody. What's good for
Mhm.
mothers is what's good for everybody. What's good for Black folks is what's good for everybody. So what's good for Black mamas is definitely good for everybody in the planet.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you make the connection to like maybe it could be like a package. I would be remiss not to uplift. Now this is at the federal level, the congressional level, with Congresswoman Underwood out of Illinois, as
Mm-hmm.
well as Congresswoman Dr. Alma Adams, who have been so instrumental in making sure that the Black Maternal Health Caucus with the
Mm-hmm.
Momnibus, for example, is an opportunity to look at how can you intersect motherhood,
Yeah.
particularly with focusing on Black women who are
Mm,
not even up for debate the most disproportionately impacted by environmental
Yeah.
hazards, whether it be, air pollution. I even think about like bringing up in Louisiana with Cancer Alley, a little bit further
Yeah.
down past New Orleans, going closer to the Gulf, and thinking about like plastic manufacturing and the fossil fuel industry. All of these things are detrimental to babies, to the development of babies, to breastfeeding, all of those things. And so if it is the sentiment, with this being a Christian country, to go forth and procreate, be fruitful and multiply,
Mm-hmm.
in order to do that, we
Yeah,
have to cherish the earth, replenish the earth, and truly address the legacy pollution that exists,
definitely.
largely in Black communities. So I love that accountability piece, with thinking
Yeah.
about not what can we not do, learning from a government perspective, what can we do
Mm-hmm.
to address some of these issues. So we are actually coming up on time, but before we leave with this powerhouse, Dr. Easter Thomas, I want to leave with getting your advice. So, what advice would you give to new moms who want to breastfeed, but they live in frontline communities?
So, one, congratulations.
Yeah.
You are important in bringing life into this world. We need more beautiful and wonderful black and brown folks in this space, in this earth, and you're doing that. So you already then did everybody on earth a favor anyway. So thank you and congratulations, first off. Now you want to utilize your body for something even greater of nourishing their child once they're out. And I think that's a very commendable and doable thing. And so, one, I would say plan it. Plan to do the best for your baby. The way you plan their baby shower, the way you planning what school they gonna go to, the way you planning what outfit they gonna wear for them pictures. Plan how you are going to breastfeed. Schedule that bad boy out. See what time you need. If you are able to schedule your meetings at work or schedule your shifts or however, make sure you got time in there to switch stuff out. Make sure you got the materials you need. So make sure you get access to a fridge, somewhere to keep your milk so that it won't spoil. And the things that you aren't able to afford or get, ask for it. Sometimes the people that are also giving away these diapers and giving away formula, they also have breastfeeding supplies or access to folks with them. So I would say that plan first, same way you planning for everything else, add that on the list. Because if you don't plan for it, it's not going to happen. And that's with anything. So if you don't plan for it, it's not just going to magically happen. Your baby just going to, go all big and juicy and chunky. No, you have to plan for that. You have to do that. Also, using your insurance for the pump, right? Even if you have TennCare, you can still get a pump, right? You can get a pump on TennCare. Um, if you can afford a doula, get one. If you can't, find a doula you like and ask them, do they have an avenue to support you getting them? And they
Mm-hmm.
probably will figure out a way. The ones that pop in my head, they do a lot of that, where they're donating their time and their service to new moms, even if just a lactation specialist. They do that as well. But also prioritize your time, um, and your peace.
Yes.
Prioritize your time and your peace because the more stressed out you are, you ain't gonna be able to help your baby. It's a reason why they say happy mom, happy baby.
Mm-hmm.
Healthy mom, healthy baby. Because you're the
Yes.
one that's giving it life while they're in you and when they're out. So we gotta do our best for our little ones, right? We gotta be healthy in the mind, healthy in the body to be able to breastfeed them and be in the right mind while we do it. So prioritizing your peace, prioritizing your time, and then when you are breastfeeding, when you are catching on, when you are catching the hang of it, right? Just bask in that bonding time, right?
Yeah.
Your baby, no matter how many babies you have, that one baby will never be that size again. They'll never look like that again. And so you want to put your fullness into How am I caring for you? How am I loving for you? What am I thinking about your life? Pray over them while they're sitting there breastfeeding. Just, you holding them anyway. Just pray over them. Talk to the Lord about what you want to see for their life, how you want to see them grow, flourish, what type of friends you want them to have, how successful you want them to be, what type of things you want to provide for them. Like, just basking in that bonding time will help you prioritize your peace and your time. And you'll want to keep doing it because it'll be enjoyable for you. Like, how lucky are you to have the materials that God has given you to be able to provide something such as this for your baby? That's
Yeah.
luck. Even if it hurts, even if they do a little bite, even if it hurts, whatever. How lucky are you to be able to do that? And even if, and I share it with y'all, I had to switch after 6 months because of circumstances and in my situation. But even if you have to go to formula after you tried breastfeeding and it didn't work, how lucky are you that you're able to do that? Shifting that perspective a lot during motherhood has helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
And then finishing. But definitely prioritizing your time, prioritizing your peace, thanking God for what you're able to do, and just bonding with your baby and asking for support, looking for support. It's out here. It is out here. If you feel like you can't do it, ask somebody. And I promise you, between 2, 3 acts, especially in Memphis, you gonna get what you need. So if you in
For
Memphis and you
sure.
need some help, text me. Send me a message. I'll send you 2, 3 folks you can go to for free. So yeah, just thinking about this whole experience just has me smiling and being happy. And even though I didn't get to go as long as I wanted to, I still was able to. I saw the benefits of breastfeeding. I saw my child be able to recover from sickness. I saw his eczema be able to help be cleared. Um, I just saw the benefits of what it was able to do. And then now, as we sit here and we talk about its intersection with environmentalism and policy, there's so much that I still can do, even though I'm not a breastfeeding mom anymore. So I do appreciate you making me think about this, young, gifted, and green.
Yeah.
That's why y'all are important, right? That's why we need people to keep us on our toes and keep the thoughts going, because it's not just motherhood. It's tied to so many other things. And I've never thought about it this way too much until this live. So I hope other people get the same thoughts and
Yes.
we can
It's all
find some more
connected.
stuff to do an impact. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom, Councilwoman Dr. Michalyn Easter Thomas. Thank you to everyone that joined us this evening. And then for the folks that missed it, I'm going to try to make sure, and I'm a geriatric millennial, I'm going to try to make sure that I
I'm
download
up there
everything
with you.
appropriately so that folks that weren't able to join the live can still access this. But thank you again so much, and peace.
Thank you, Tracy.
Bye.